I think. Because like I tried to share it. Let me, I think I'm gonna have to do it from here. Do my usual setup malarkey. Do my usual setup malarkey to see what every time I do it, I forget how to do it again.
A technical term.
Because like I tried to share it. Let's see if we can. Morning, anyone that's watching. We're just setting up still. Do my usual setup. Happy New Year, malarkey. Do my usual setup malarkey to see what. Oh look, it's me talking. Every time I do it, I forget how to do it again.
It's a technical term.
You're having a conversation with yourself.
Let's see if we can. Morning, anyone that's watching. We're just setting up. For God's sake, it never gets any easier. But then I am sort of like allowing that to happen by saying it, aren't I?
Linda, how are you? You okay? I'm sorry I didn't get in touch with you.
Yes.
I did say I would, but I just got so into this.
No, that was, of course you did. Of course you did. Yeah, no, I'm doing all right. I was just telling Danielle. So I had a blood test that indicated rheumatoid arthritis.
Right. Okay.
So I was sent to a thingammy, a consultant. But before then, Lucinda had already got me on plant-based eating because she'd read lots of testimonials out to me of people that had similar problems to me and even worse. And within a year, the longest was a year, some a little bit sooner than that, on plant-based were pain-free. So I thought, right, okay, well, let's go for this. But then when we got the possible rheumatoid arthritis thing, she looked that up, and 10-day juice fast. Some people were pain-free after a 10-day juice fast. So I did that. I am not pain-free, but I am much more pain-free than I was.
Right.
Yes. And I also signed up with a pain-free coach, and I use, so pain still comes. Yeah, it still pops up, the pain, but I turn it off with the techniques that she's taught me.
Fantastic.
And so I am a lot better. I'm a lot better in myself, and I'm interested in. The next thing I'm interested in is secondary gains. Now, I've been offered a very good offer of pay or don't pay, depending on what I can afford, with another NLP coach. I've followed her for a long, long time. And anyway, she said, oh, well, I'm not all that busy at the moment. Things not busy. And we're booked in for a breakthrough day.
Oh, great.
So, a whole day.
Linda, you'll smash it. I'm so excited. I'm just going to say a quick hello to everyone. I think we're live everywhere. Yes. We're live everywhere after setting up the technology side of things, which is always a thorn in my side. But
it's a challenge.
It is a challenge, and we're blooming marvelous now, aren't we? So good morning, everybody. Happy New Year. And today, well, it's the 1st, isn't it? It's the 1st of January 2021. Yeah. New year, new beginnings. I got Kate, I got Linda. I'm too excited, and I haven't seen Linda, so we haven't seen each other for a little while. So we always like catching
up. Yeah,
it's been a mad year. But do you know what? Honestly, because it is the 1st, we're going to talk about new beginnings and new year and what we can do to thrive even more. Last year, one of the biggest highlights of my year last year, because obviously everything just changed just ridiculously in my world, completely upside down, madly. But do you know what? Meeting together with you guys was an anchor for me, and you all got me through it, like more than anyone could ever know. The good times, the bad times. And I think just having you there with me for this journey, and it isn't over yet, we know that, but there's light, there's always light. So having you with me has just been one of the biggest highlights, not only of last year, but of honestly my life. And I will always have that with me. And I'm so grateful for meeting you all. Oh God, I'm so grateful. I don't know how I'd have got through mentally.
Well, I mean, the thing is, you were so resourceful to get everyone together in the first place and make it happen, because you did this. So.
Yeah, I put it onto a higher power because I just get led, babe. I'm just like, what do I need to do? Okay, let's just try this, throw it out there. And I think that's pretty much like life, isn't it? I think we all do just kind of just feel our way through and just go with our guts. And I found that if you don't fight what it is that you really want to do, I think it just, the art of letting go is a massive, it's a massive challenge, but it's also very freeing. It's very freeing. And like last year at midnight, I was in my pajamas in bed, like at midnight, watching the fireworks on the BBC, and it was very calm, very quiet. Ethan let off a lantern, you know, one of those lantern things, like made a wish, and then I went to bed, and it wasn't a big celebration or anything like that, because I'm actually, although it's been a really challenging year and there's been so much pain and so much loss for so many people, I actually loved this year. I really did, because I felt I had a gift that I'd never been given before, which was that I was allowed to be who I was, like in fully. And I had this time with no pressure, and a time, yes, okay, there was fear all around me, and there still is whatever's out there. There still is that. But it's almost like it was like a trust with the universe. It was a trust with time. It was a trust with, it was going to be all right. Like whatever happens, because we have no control of the ultimate things of life, right? We have no control of life or death. And when it's our time, it's our time. And where we go to, people have different views on that, and that's okay too, because we're all human. We have all our own views on life and our worlds. But wherever it is that we go to, while we're here, my God, what a beautiful time to be alive, to be able to experience that gift of nothingness. Really, we had nothing that we could do. All we could do is look after ourselves and our families and connect with the people that we could do and try and help, because that's all we could do last year. I couldn't go to work. I couldn't go do my gigs. I couldn't be like a headless chicken running around like a million times a day. I had to do what I could do. And so all I could do was try and help the people, including myself and my family and everyone, that I could do. And so it was almost like a new beginning, like of me last year. And I don't want to lose that. I really don't want to lose that. That's so important to me, because I do love my gigs, don't get me wrong. I love every part of them. But this gift is almost a gift of peace. That's what it feels like. It feels like something. And I don't want to lose that. So for me, my new beginnings, I think that kind of started last year anyway, but for me this year, my new beginnings, I'm going to bring with me everything that I've treasured from this last year, which I've never experienced in my life before, ever. And it's been beautiful and marvelous. So yeah, for me, my new beginnings are kind of like, no, they're from last year. I'm bringing it with me. And I'm just praying for health and happiness for everyone around, basically, and that everyone's okay. And that's all that matters to me. That really is. That's the long and the short of it. So I'm going to throw it out. Please help me, because I don't know what I'm saying today. I had good sleep, but out there. Who's next?
Okay,
Linda.
So yes, so I've got things. Well, I've got lovely things to say about new beginnings, because what I've realised, and I realised it during 2020. Now, let me just say something funny for anyone who's horsey. I'm a member of some, because we're a horsey family, we're a riding family. I don't ride, but my daughters do. So I'm a member of some of the horsey groups, and they've all been putting up a meme saying, Do you think somebody should lunge 2021 before we all get on?
So I don't know what lunge means because I'm not.
So lunging is so the horse is a bit fresh, maybe it's been stabled for a while, and you're going to ride. So you lunge it first to see how it's going. So you have it on a long rein, and you send it round in a circle around.
Oh, okay.
So that you can see how it's going, and also, you know, gets rid of a bit of energy. So that's what that made me laugh. Because understandably we are a little bit we went into 2020 without any warning of at this time of year, didn't we? The first of January 2020, we'd no warning whatsoever of how life could be turned upside down, and so obviously we're all a bit tentative now with this year. But what I learned during 2020 was you can start again. You can have a new beginning in every moment.
Nice.
In every single moment. You don't have to wait. We typically, don't we? We say, oh, well, today's been rubbish, but, you know, tomorrow's another day. No. If today's rubbish, turn it around now, because you can. And what I've advised in my, I also had that lovely time of doing daily lives with my people, and I've started again then, because I've noticed, I started this week, I've noticed people in the groups I'm in are becoming disheartened again. It's almost like it as bad as it was in March. It's hard for people as it was in March. So people on both sides of the COVID situation, people with either attitude, either, yeah, the government are doing their best, or there's something odd going on here, whichever side you're on, I'm seeing people becoming disheartened. So I started again with my live videos in the morning. And so what I taught about starting again is you need a break, you need a fire break. So you notice that, and it needs us to be always noticing what's going on, always be alert. I like what the Bible says. You don't have to be a believer to benefit from what the Bible says. The Bible says, bring all your thoughts into captivity. And I love that. We do need to bring our thoughts into captivity, because thoughts are in there, really. I think we often believe that there's a circumstance, and then the next thing is how we feel. So there's circumstance, straight line, this is now how I feel. And that circumstance is so awful that I'm justified in feeling like this. Of course I'm feeling bad because I've just lost my job, or because whatever. It's not true. In between, that is not the formula. Circumstance and feelings. In between are thoughts. It goes circumstance, what your thoughts are about the circumstance, and they create the feeling. So thoughts are tremendously important to be kept in captivity. And so being alert as to what's going on in your mind, what is driving your feelings, that's important as well. Keeping on top of your thoughts all the time. As soon as you notice that you're feeling as if, and you're thinking that today's a bust, then you take a short break, whatever kind of break you can. If you've got children and they're clambering up your legs, you just drag them with you out into the garden. Sit in the garden for a bit, put your coat on, put your hood up, lock yourself in the bathroom, in the toilet, to get a little bit of a break, or lock them in the bathroom. Whichever you can. Just give yourself just that quick, or even a quick phone call. It's just as a fire break, so that you end how it's been. And then when you're finished, you start again. And you start again just like you would have done in the morning, you know, when we're thinking, oh, I'll start again tomorrow. You just start again with positive attitude. I know everybody's sick of positive attitudes, but it's the way forward.
You've got to choose, haven't you? You've got to choose how we feel.
Yeah.
So
and we can, can't we? The thing I talk about the most is you can decide, because I think there are days as well. There are days when I've forgotten that I can decide, and I spent a lot of years of my younger years not realizing anybody could decide anything at all. But we do have that power of decision.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we really do.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we feel like it's been taken out of our hands, that's the time to really kind of just sit back and get that break that you need, and just kind of zoom out a little bit and just.
It is. And I talk a lot to my people about the circle of influence. And what I'm focusing on this week is I believe there's various versions of this. I believe that the only thing that's in that center of your circle of influence is you. I don't think anyone else in there. Yeah. In the next line, in the next circle, you can have those people you're close to, because sometimes you can influence them, but you can't guarantee that you can always influence them. So they're not in the center. So I think we need to start this year focusing on ourselves. You know, oxygen mask on you first.
I agree.
So that's the way we can go into 2021, isn't it? Is put and Kate's course.
Yeah,
sounds like an amazing.
I'm going to talk about them
anyway, Linda. Thank you.
Yeah. So, like, for anyone that's watching, I'm so blessed to know these gorgeous people because they're amazing therapists. And Kate has got a new beginning of her own because she's doing the most amazing course that she's launched just now. So, Kate, tell us everything. Like, what's going on? What's your course about?
Yeah, well, really, I mean, it kind of like echoes what the two of you have been saying, and like my journey as well in the last year, where I started out at the beginning of the year. I was working doing one-to-one therapy work with people, really, and everyone was coming to me, to my home, and we were working there. And then COVID hit and we're suddenly locked down. People couldn't come to me anymore. And they also couldn't actually work online with me because they were at home with all their children all at home because the schools were all closed. They couldn't go to work. They were trying to work from home. So everything was really stressful, and they couldn't find a quiet spot just to have that one-to-one time with me. You need to be able to talk confidentially and open your heart. And it's very hard to do that if everyone can hear you. So it kind of changed everything. And then coincidentally, then Danielle, you started our therapy talks thing every Friday, and that got me online more, working on video, got me far more confident in just putting myself on camera, because that was a big thing for me. And then it got me into working online with one-to-one with clients, and that now has really taken off, so that's working really well. And then it also got me into, well, if I'm okay on video now, then maybe I should now do this thing, which I'd been planning to do for a long time, which was going to be a live workshop thing, or maybe people would come here to France for a week and I would take them through this program that I've been thinking about probably for the last, I've been saying the last sort of 25 years plus, is that I've been working on it. Because it's ever since I had my kind of burnout thing in my late 20s, which is, a couple of decades ago, maybe a bit more. But I thought, well, how the mind and the body sort of affect each other. And nobody back then really knew about this stuff. It wasn't really talked about. It wasn't mainstream. There wasn't really even like an internet to help me really in those days. So you could go and get a book from the library, but that really didn't do much for you. So I was then researching all the things about how does the mind work, how does the body work, what is the mind and body, and how do they influence each other. And it all, as the more I did this work on myself, and I say working on myself, it wasn't really work, it was kind of like opening. It's just like an opening thing, like you were saying, Danielle, you're letting go. You're letting go of what isn't you, and then you find you underneath, and you're, oh, that's me, and then be that person. And then it's like, well, I wish I'd known this 20 years ago, but I wouldn't have made so many stupid decisions. We're talking about decisions and things. There's always a choice, and yet you don't feel you have a choice. You don't even know there's a choice to make, even. And so it all came into this whole thing about, as you were saying, Linda, you've got to start here. You've got to start maybe here or here, wherever it is for you. It's either your head, your heart, or your gut. Usually there's something that's holding you back from just being yourself. And I call it selfish freedom, because it is freeing yourself to just be who you are. It's selfish because it's all about you, put your mask on first, as it were. But it's the ish part is being more aware of how you connect with other people as well as to yourself. So it's caring for yourself. You care about others, but you've got to care for yourself. You've got to take action for yourself. And so, because no one's going to do it for you, because no matter how much someone loves you, they will never do this for you. You have to do it for yourself. And so I've got into this whole thing of selfish freedom, and I've created a 12-week group coaching program, which is starting on the 17th of January, and people are signing up already for it. And I'm so excited to share like everything that I've learned in NLP and hypnotherapy and
amazing.
all the other techniques, cognitive behavioral therapy, psychology. It's all the stuff, it's all the really good bits, the things that really, really work in everyday life, that isn't just for, it's all very well understanding something and learning lots of theory, but you've got to understand it in the body. If your body feels it and notices the difference, then you kind of remember it and you can keep doing it. And so it's not about learning lots of stuff, it's about practically experiencing changes and differences in yourself, and then keep practicing those things that work for you, because everyone's different.
How long does it take every day? How long does it take each day for 12
Well,
weeks?
this is a good question. I don't know yet, because I'm actually, this is my first time I've run it as a group coaching program. So it's kind of like all the best things I've ever done or worked on and found that have worked with other people as well as with me, because I've been testing this stuff for decades now. So and so it's basically, and I don't want to sort of take over the conversation now, but it's just it's going to be like a few like quick 10-15 minute videos that you'll watch throughout the week. So maybe 3 or 4 every week on a certain theme. Each week has a theme.
Nice.
And then there'll be a 1 hour practice session where we all get together online on Zoom every week, and we're actually practicing the things they're going to practice throughout the week ahead.
That sounds so good.
So they get to actually really experience it, ask all their questions then, and then we have a group as well where people can ask questions throughout the week as well and everything else. So I'll be there supporting them all the way through it, and then they'll just be practicing the various different techniques. And it's great. I've got people all over the world joined up.
That's so cool.
I'm doing lives in the morning, 8 in the morning and 8 in the evening, to cover all the different time zones and stuff. So yeah, it's really exciting. And it is just like you were saying, Danielle, it's letting go. What is, who am I and who am I not? And letting go of what I'm not, because you're probably doing that to try and impress someone else, or you belief that you should be this way, or you've been told that you are, and you actually know you absolutely have a certainty you are this way. But we all know that everything can be changed. Yeah. So the other part of selfish is there really a self at all? Because we're different selves. I mean, I'm a different self with my husband, with my friends, and when I'm digging the garden, to when I'm online working with a client. I'm a different self in all these moments. And there is like a thread running through it, which is kind of like the me that always was me. There's a sense of a me, of who that I is. Like the I, when I'm watching my thoughts, who's the I that's watching my thoughts? So my thoughts then aren't real because I'm watching them. So if I'm aware of my thoughts, then who's that I? And then you can actually say, well, who's the I that's watching that I? Who notices that I? And you can keep going on like that. It would drive you mad if you keep doing it. But there is no real self. We're just an entity, or like with a consciousness. When we're with other people, that consciousness is affected by them too. So we become a different person with different people, because we're affected by their consciousness too. And so we kind of link our neurology with them. And so the way we affect other people and are affected by others, and the way that, you know, just watching the news can just completely change the way I am and the way I feel.
Oh God, yeah.
So like,
vibration.
It is I mean, we know emotions are like energy in motion. It is, and it's about that flow. It's about feeling, like we were talking about feelings earlier. Feelings are just messages that are telling us something about what's happening either in our mind, like we're saying thoughts, or it's something that's happening outside of us that we're letting in and letting it affect us. And then it's like, well, what boundaries do I need to put in place to protect myself from, if someone's very negative around you and you can't not be there with them, then how do you protect yourself from that? So there's all these skills that we can learn just to deal with the day and the challenges of life. Because let's face it, I mean, we all talk about uncertainty, and life is so uncertain right now, but it always was.
Yeah,
it always was. And yet we had kind of like a foundation that we believed was solid, and that kind of like that rug's been pulled out from under our feet a little bit more this year, and so we're more aware of it than ever. But life was always uncertain, and life, no matter how well things are going, life's always throwing bombs at us and trying to knock us off course.
Always.
It's like, well, how do you navigate those times? And when you feel like you just don't want to get out of bed in the morning because you're just feeling so negative or down, and feeling like life is treating you badly, then, you know, how do you cope with those moments?
That's right.
And I think the only way to do that is to have a really grounded, strong sense of self. Who am I? What do I stand for? And kind of like you were talking about trust, Danielle, it's like it is trusting yourself, not just trusting yourself to sort of be in alignment with your values, like really knowing what you stand for and standing up for that no matter what, no matter how hard it is.
Yeah.
So, this is how, and then you start trusting yourself. And then from that trust comes things like self-worth, self-esteem, confidence. All these things come from just trusting yourself.
That's right.
But then to do that, you need to know who you are and what does matter to you. And so it's all, you keep rolling back to all these sort of basic things, which is what my course is all about, learning all of those things about yourself, being more selfish. And then with that selfishness comes freedom, because you have that feeling we were talking about, that freedom, because how wonderful just not to really care what other people think. Just,
it's a gift, isn't it?
Just all you need to do is impress yourself. If you can impress yourself, then life's pretty bloody good.
Oh, too. Do you know what? The other thing about last year that I really fell in love with, and that I will take with me, that I'm scared of losing as well, because it's kind of like 2020 was a leveler, and everybody was on the same level. It doesn't matter if you had a multi-million pounds or you're a tramp on the street, whoever you were as a person, as a soul, we were all the same. We were all in the same boat, literally, for a good few months. Yes, things started to go a bit out of whack, and the odd person here and there started to, you know.
However much money you had, you could not buy toilet rolls.
You know, this is the thing, and it was kind of like we had nothing. We were all the same. And that to me was so beautiful, so special. There was no point in impressing anyone, because you couldn't impress anyone, because we were all the same. Like, there's nothing to impress. Oh, I'm going to this place. Who cares? You're not going anywhere. We're all at home. We're all there. We're all in the same situation. And I loved the fact that there was nothing there that you needed to kind of, well, I don't do it anyway. I'm quite back from all that, because I don't like it. I don't like public shows of I've got this, I've got that, I've got that. I don't like that, because internally, I mean, I'm glad that everyone's got what they've got. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad that everyone's got what they've worked for, what they want, but there's no need to force it down people's throats, because it makes people feel bad. It makes people feel like they're not enough. And I think that might have stemmed right back from when I was growing up. And, you know, I was always very different. And I was always you know, I was 15 stone when I was 15. I couldn't fit into the clothes that other people wore. I went to a private school, and some of the people there had a lot of money, and I always felt a little bit inadequate there, and like just different things. So I think it will stem back from the fact that I never felt like I was enough. And now I do feel like I'm enough. I just do. And I want everybody to feel like they're enough. And last year, everybody did. Okay, there was fear, yes, but they felt they didn't have to impress anyone. They felt like there was enough. Yeah. They didn't have to have the best packed lunch at school. They didn't have to wear the nicest, you know, there was a hole in their school jumper. So, you know, they were the bad mums. You know, there was none of that. There was no uniform. It was just peaceful. And that's so magic. And isn't that how life should be? And that's what I'm scared of losing. I don't want to get back.
So how do you think we can keep that peace and calmness? There was a calmness, wasn't there? The first lockdown. I think it became different later, but in the first lockdown, we put our shoulders to the wheel. We're going to do this. We could see why we were doing it then. And everyone, as you say, was in the same boat. Well, apart from Dominic Cummings, of course. Yeah. But he's gone now. So how do you think we can keep that same calmness? And it was single focus, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
It was single focus. All we had to do was survive mentally and physically. We just had to survive. What would your advice be?
I think the only thing
can we keep this with us?
Yeah, it's the focus, isn't it? It's focusing on what we've learned and who we are really, and whether it makes us feel good. Because as soon as you flip that switch and you try and start impressing people again, stop being aware of who you are as a person and thinking, why am I trying to impress this person? Why do I feel the need that I have to be blah, blah, blah? When did that start? When did that feeling start that I felt that I needed to prove myself? And maybe going back and at that point then, because when the world comes back to whatever the world will be, that's the test. So it's then realizing that if there's a trigger still there, well, is there something that I need to work on at that point? When did that start? Going back maybe to that situation when it did start, and looking at it through perspective and sorting that out a little bit and working. I think the focus on you, exactly what you say, Kate, as well, self, you know, being who you are all the time, if you can, you know, and allowing yourself slip-ups, but being aware of those slip-ups and not having to beat yourself up too much. All that resilience that we have shown to get through to here right now, it's a beautiful thing. And we've done it. You know, we've lived an experience that nobody in this whole world has ever lived before. 100 years ago, you know, it's like, it's a communal kind of group world uniting that we all have, that we've all lived through, and that's a piece of magic right there. And our world is magic, so we're part of that magic. So when
they do sorry, go on.
No, if you start to get closed in again, and like you're in fear again because you're needing to prove, that is a state of fear, because you're worried about what people think again. So letting go, get rid of it all, learn those lessons that we've got so beautifully from last year, and just be happy with who we are.
I'm just reading a book that Lucinda's recommended. I've just got it on Kindle, and for Prime members, it's free on Kindle at the moment, and it's called The Courage to Be Disliked.
Oh wow!
And it's written by a couple of Japanese guys, and it is very, very interesting.
That's interesting.
It is. Yeah, I mean, it's like you were saying. It's like they say there are really two emotions: there's love and fear. That's it, and everything is either one or the other. And it's really like your nervous system is either in a relaxed state where it's in this sort of kind of feeling of love, and it can, when you're in that state, you can connect with others and you're open and everything else, or you're in a fear state, fight, flight, freeze, when you sort of, you close in, don't you? You sort of protect your heart and you hide and everything else, put your mask on and pretend, and that's really all there is. And so it's learning to, you can't always be in this lovely, happy, skippy state. You can't. I mean, our minds just won't let us do that. I mean, our subconscious mind is constantly looking out for things to be scared of, you know. And so
it's its job, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't beat ourselves up when that happens. It's like being, it's all about, I mean, a lot of my course is about caring for yourself. You care about others, but care for yourself, because no one's going to do it for you. And so it's like, how do I care for myself? What is, like, Danielle, you love the whole thing about language and the way that language programs us. How do you program yourself with just the words you speak about yourself? You know, how, just notice throughout the day how you talk about yourself.
Yeah.
And I remember there are people that joke and poke fun at themselves. You know, so that almost as if to try and I'll say it before no one else, so no one else can say it, you know, and you sort of make jokes about yourself, but you think, well, you wouldn't say that to your best friend, and that you do it to yourself, and you're kind of constantly, it's another form of self-abuse, and we're all abusing ourselves all the time in different ways. And so it's awareness, isn't it? As we were saying at the beginning, it's all about understanding and being aware of, is fear driving right now, or is it sat in the back seat with a seatbelt on telling you can't play with the radio and touch the wheel, you know, as Linda says, you know, it's this whole thing of fear is always going to be with you. So acknowledge it and just be okay with it. Talk to it, make it your friend, and say, okay, you can talk, you can tell me whatever you want. I know you're always going to be with me, but you're not driving, and that's it. Yeah. So, but sometimes you need it to drive. If the tiger's jumping out behind a tree and chasing you, you want fear in charge. You really want that. But most of the time, there really is no need. And kind of like, I used to wish my life away. So many wasted sort of weeks and months and years sometimes, like saying, I'll be happy when.
Gosh.
When I've done this thing I'm scared of, or I've had this awkward conversation with somebody or whatever, I'll just be glad when it's out of the way. And I was just constantly wishing my life away when I wouldn't be fearful anymore. But that meant I lived in a state of fear, and it was just stress non-stop. Yeah. So it's about, how do you get to a place where fear isn't in control all the time? And that is the subconscious work that we all do with our clients. That's what we do. It's consciously telling someone to calm down, don't be scared, it's fine, you know. That doesn't work. It doesn't. Your subconscious mind doesn't believe that stuff.
One of the things I mentioned earlier, that I've signed up with a pain-free coach, Althea Finch, and one of the things she did in one of our sessions was amazing, and it was just what we're talking of here. So she her words were something like, she asked me to tell her so she could write it down, what is it that brings Linda joy? What is it that Linda needs in her life? What is Linda most equipped for, designed for? What is Linda designed for? That's what it said to me, because you already are that, aren't you? And so we wrote down lots of things. She kind of filtered some of them. She prompted me on some others. We'll go a bit deeper on that one. Do you really mean that one? And some of them I didn't really mean, and some were amazing. And the whole list is amazing. What was amazing about it is I knew, as soon as I saw this list, that I had been living my life, my personal life, and organizing my business exactly opposite to this list.
Wow.
Absolutely opposite. So it was so exciting to think, right, well, I can start now then with this list and set things up so that this is the way I live. And I'm not meaning, I don't know what Althea means. I'm not meaning, because we have a feel-good list as well. And the feel-good list is you try and take one a day. And some are little and some are medium, some are bigger, but you try and take one a day of those, especially if you're not feeling quite very good that day. But I don't see this, I see this other list much more like your course. It is finding who we are and then living in accordance with who we actually are, who we really and truly are. And so I don't see it as being, well, mine is not regimented at all, because one of the things I am not is a routine person and a regimented person. And I have tried to build my businesses that way always. Oh, because everyone says you must, you know, you've got to this and you've got to that and you've got to have your schedule. And no, I often say I will die from routine if I have to do it. So, you know, it's just, isn't it about finding out from your course, finding out who we are, and then living like that. Not again, no schedules, no saying I've got to do one of these a day or I've got to, no, just be that. It's about being that, isn't it?
And how freeing is that when you get to that?
Absolutely. So one of the things that I kept on saying was making things, being creative, making anything really, could be anything. And so the other day, we couldn't find that. We've got a mop that you fold up the end and you slide onto it, a rinseable thing, a washable thing, and then open it up and do the floor with it. And so you keep taking it off and you're always cleaning with clean water. Since we moved, we can't find the mop head at all. So the other day I sat for probably about 4 hours because the sewing machine's not working. I sat and hand stitched a new mop head out of a microfiber cloth and some binding, some bias binding.
Wow.
And I sat and sewed that and watched 2 episodes of Midsummer Murders. And it was so nice. It was so nice. And then I put it on the mop and mopped the kitchen floor, because we have a cleaner, but she's only here 1 day a week. And then in between, we can't mop the kitchen floor. And that, it was so satisfying, you know.
That's amazing.
It was deeply satisfying.
It's meditative, isn't it? You're just concentrating, just like doing your own thing. That's just really important for a day-to-day basis.
Just a bit backstitch, you know, like you learned at primary school.
And yet for me, that would be one of the most stressful things in the world. It's like, and so, and I know there's a great book. I'm trying to think what it's called. Oh, it's this one. I'm going to get it. Called Maybe It's You. Cut the crap, face your fears, love your life.
Love it.
She's like, she really does just sort of say it like it is. But one thing that she talks about is, you know, fly your freak flags. You know, the things that you're never ever going to change about yourself, and other people might hate it, and you might even hate it about yourself. But if it's you, fly the flag and just say, this is me. So, you know, and that's it. And so whatever it is, like for me, I'm not going to beat myself up, but I'm really shit at sewing because I probably could learn and be okay at it, but I'm never going to be great at it. So
exactly. You don't. There's no need. You are what you are, aren't you?
Exactly. And it's finding and understanding and focusing on those, not the things, because we were always taught at school, weren't we? The things you were bad at, you worked harder at those.
Yes.
And what's that about? Why not just focus on things you're really good at, and and just really make that's your superpower. Focus on that. I mean, I'm not saying we shouldn't work harder at certain things that are challenging to us, because that's what growth is for. But really choose what you want to do. Like for me, it's like I'm working really hard creating this course at the moment. But it is like my absolute passion. I am just so passionate about it. And so I don't care if I work 15 hours a day on it, because that is the thing that is, no matter how hard it is. And right now we've got problems like people can't pay by card because the link for that is broken, and I'm just trying to sort the tech out, and it's really challenging. And you've got to choose, because everything you do in life is hard. Anything that requires changing, like you created that mop head, that's hard to do. It's easier for you because you're really good at it, Linda, but you've got to choose your stress, because you're going to have stress. Life is going to be stressful all the time. No matter what your day's plan, no matter how beautiful you think it's going to be, life will throw something at you and try and knock you off course. And so it's choose your stress wisely. You know, what are the things that mean something?
What's worth it? Yeah. What's worth getting stressed over?
Yeah, because you're going to get it. It's happening. It's going to be there. You're going to get stressed. So pick it. You know, for me, it's like I've got my courses launching on the 17th. I've still got a lot of work to do. And so, and one of my big things is time. When time starts getting shorter and shorter and shorter, then I'm getting pushed into this little tight box, and I'm stressed. But it's my stress. I chose this stress, and so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I will sort it through. And this is stress for me. It is me, and that's okay.
And also, you can always ask for help. That's very important.
Absolutely.
Because, you know.
Yes, if you need a mop head, you know, just let me know.
Yeah. Like, if you need someone to help you with that payment system, there's people out there. I mean, I can help you to find someone that is amazing with computers and stuff like that. So there's always some, but it's the amount of stress you decide to. It's about what's it called when you giving. Delegation, because if you can delegate, because some people find it hard to delegate, they have to have the control, and that can be quite stressful. So if you can learn to delegate, and okay, so this is a stressful situation I'm in, but what parts of it can I delegate out to relieve the stress, and then I can oversee it? It's like on a building site, you know, you're going to get the foreman, and he doesn't actually do. He's probably done all the jobs of everyone working on the site, but now it's the foreman, and he doesn't really do much apart from oversee everything and make sure it's all ticking over. So you've got to become the foreman of your own life, basically, and delegate out, well, what parts do I actually need to do that are very important for me to have to control, or what parts can I delegate out and just oversee that it is the right thing, and what are the resources that I've got around me that I can delegate that out. And you know, budget wise or whatever it is. So, you know, just become your foreman and not be scared to ask, because asking for help is not a weakness. It's a strength. It's a strength to be able to say, would you mind helping with this? And then you're learning, because you're becoming they're part of that learning, because then you can help someone else once you know. And then,
I think it's a skill. I think delegation is a skill. I think it's one I haven't got. I've got the control instead. But
imagine.
I guess I lean on the control side too, definitely.
Yes, you know, I'm all right with delegation.
You are brilliant at it. You're good at bringing people together and using their strengths, and they kind of all lift you up.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, which is it. But and then I'm more of a I just do everything. Because I find it hard to ask for help, because that's part of the whole being vulnerable is weak, and I'm strong and independent, and I don't need anybody, and all that stuff goes. That's my head.
Yes, and then
that's going on in there.
Yes, when did that start? Yeah, and all that.
Yeah, that's true.
That's something that I've learned this year, certainly with this, when we all get together, and it's that whole thing of sharing.
Yeah,
sharing was hard for me. It used to be very hard.
And it comes.
You're right. That's good.
The comparing comes into this, doesn't it? What we're talking about. There's, if you are yourself, there is no need to compare yourself with others. You are less likely to be comparing. And there's a lovely lady who teaches online. She's called Joyce Meyer. She says, don't bother comparing yourself to other people. Everyone else is taken.
That's brilliant.
And the other thing I love is also, on top of that, because I love that statement, is the fact that we're all messy and imperfect, all of us.
Yes, there's a book.
No one has any more confidence than anyone else. Confidence is something you have, it's just something you do in spite of feeling scared. And the only people that get things done are the people that do it when they're scared, and they just do it anyway.
There's a book called We're All From the Bargain Basement. And he says, you know, in the bargain basement, there's that rack of clothes, and they're dirt cheap, they're real bargains, and they look great, but actually when you get it home, you see that the zip doesn't work, or there's a snag or whatever it is. And he says, we're all from that rail.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, dude, that's the first rail I go to, babe. I'm like, designer, now give me the bargain, the basement, clearance, January sales.
Yeah.
Oh my God. What an amazing start to my January though. Where are we? Oh, we've got 10 minutes. We've got 10 minutes to go. 10 minutes. It's always just like magic talking to you two. And it's like what the best start of my new year.
It was interesting you were talking about control, because that was the thing, isn't it? When we talk about video, a lot of it is control. And I remember writing a list of all the things I can control and all the things I can't control. And all the things I can't control turned out to be absolutely everything. And the thing I can control is the tiniest little list. And even because when you think about it, it's like, well, how I feel, can I control that really? My thoughts, can I control my thoughts? Can I consciously? No. And that, again, it's like getting into that subconscious thing, and being able to talk to your subconscious mind is such an important part of it, because that's in control. What was it? 99% of our lives is driven by our subconscious. So if you have no relationship with that part of you, then you're being driven all the time by whatever's going on subconsciously. And they reckon that people that meditate, you know, like really, really good meditators, the best ever meditators ever in the world, they reckon they can get it to about 95%, the subconscious mind. So like maybe you're 5 times more conscious than everyone else, but you're still pretty much subconscious most of the time. So if you've got no relationship with that part of you that is controlling you, then that list on things you can control is pretty much zero. Like, I can't control my temper, I can't control my fears, I can't control my eating, you know, all these things that we say, oh, I have no control. Well, you do, but it's the part of you that is subconscious that is doing it. And so you can control that. And so the message I know that we all give to our clients is like, there is more control than you think, but you've got to get in touch with that part of you that's driving and understanding it.
What I was interested to learn from another NLP practitioner the other day is now I just missed that when we were taught this, but she said to me, so she knows I'm trained in NLP. She said, so are you believing that pain is unexpressed negative thoughts? No, I said, because it had not ever been, I don't remember it being presented that way to me. Oh, she said, oh, well, that's what I was taught. So I said, well, let's go with that. And she posted on her page within a few days a deeper explanation of that and how it relates to NLP. Because we are using language, it's the language, isn't it, that we're using to make a difference and to direct us and then to make a difference in that place. And so she's saying, if you allow yourself to express your negativity, you don't just leave it there and you don't do that over and over, but then you can hear what you're saying. You can see what you're saying and you can do something with it.
Yeah.
So that was a bit.
Yeah, you're right. It's like letting it. It's not just suppressing or putting it in a part of you, because that they do say that pain is a feeling that is kind of made up by your mind. Your nervous system makes up pain. It's not real.
Yeah. Doesn't come from the sight of.
No, and it may be you may get pain in your hand, and it's actually you've got a problem in your shoulder or something. So it's just as we know, feelings come from thoughts generally, and so it has to be a thought linked with that pain. And so like sometimes you, like if you think of something like it's something that happened that was disgusting and you immediately feel sick, well, that's the thought that's causing you to feel sick, because you've not eaten anything that's making you sick. It's a thought. And so when you can play around with that and understand and be curious about it without making it wrong, because pain is a message like anything else. And so kind of like once you take away the thinking around it and what, making it bad and wrong and the judgments and I shouldn't be like this, or this shouldn't happen and life's bad and life's making me like this, or I hate my body because it's doing this to me, then all of these thoughts just add more pain on top of it, add more pressure and more burden that you're carrying around with you. Whereas if you just have the pain as it is and say, well, what's the message here? And where am I maybe blocking it from just flowing and just saying what it wants to say? And that can be really powerful, can't it, to work with that. And I remember there was, when we were doing our training, there was a woman that was in there, sort of came along as the demonstration person, and she had a real problem with her shoulder.
I remember that.
Yeah, and it was like, and then when the guy was working, the trainer was working with her, and the message that came from that pain in his shoulder was, I hate you. And it was from like when she was like 4 or 5 years old. And it was, I hate you. And it was something her mother had said to her, I hate you.
Wow.
And so, and that pain was that message from her mother, I hate you. And so she was kind of, and internalized that, and that was the feeling. And he was able to release that, and the pain went. And so there's so much stuff, isn't there? And I mean, obviously sometimes, you've got pain because, your leg is saying, don't move because you've just broken it. Don't move.
Yes.
The message.
That's not true. Yeah.
Or there's like inflammation. We're talking about, if you've got inflammation in a joint or something, it's telling you to don't move. It's painful to do that. I need to heal. I need something different to happen. And it's listening to that, isn't it? So it is about awareness. It's about listening and knowing, having that relationship with your body so that it can talk to you.
That's right.
It's chronic pain, isn't it, that we're saying you would turn off?
Yes.
Because it's been sending the message forever. and either you've got it now or you haven't. But, and obviously one aims to get the message. That would be the way for it. That's what Althea teaches, is that so we learn to turn it off. However, for it never to come back, we have to find the root cause.
That's right.
For it never to come back.
We are just vehicles. Well, listen, it's been an hour. I flipping adore you both. I know. I mean, I could just keep chatting to you for ages, but you probably will. But for YouTube purposes and everything, I will say, just have an amazing, healthy, happy, wonderful, positive, and peaceful new year. Take everything with you that you want from the last year and make it count in your life from now on, because it's yours and you can. There are no rules apart from the ones that you're creating on yourself, and you don't have to prove anything to anyone. Just wake up and be proud of who you are, and then you're halfway there. In fact, you're nearly all the way there. So
I would say also let go of anything you don't need to take with you into this year too.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Leave it behind.
Yeah.
And I'll see you again online at some point. So I'm going to sign off now, and I'll stay with you. Let me just see if I can do this. Stop live stream. Bye, everyone. Happy New Year.